there's a lot of conversations happening around, I don't have a child and you feel so sad about it. And yes, it is sad. But the reality is that when you are actually reflecting and soul searching, you will realise it was still your choice.
Shout it out and let them know. It's the Davina and Sabrina show. These girls got a lot of sass, topics with a lot of class. Davina and Sabrina show. Spill the tea, drink it up. These girls really know what's up. Spill the tea, drink it up. These girls really know what's up. Davina, Sabrina, it's Davina and Sabrina. Davina and Sabrina show.
Welcome to another episode of the Davina
And Sabrina Show!
Woo woo! Hey guys, so please do not forget to subscribe and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at the Davina and Sabrina Show.
Yes, listen, thank you. We are back again, and today we're going to talk about being over 35 and no children. Wow, what's going on? We're going to delve into it. But before we do, just some stats. So from the Census 2021 stats, women in England and Wales, born in 1975, who completed childbearing years in 2020 had an average of 1.9 children, which is a lower average compared to 2.08 for their mother's generation in 1949. Kind of makes sense to people, right? So,
Sure.
Yeah. Women aged 45 years who completed childbearing in 2020, again from a census 2021, 18% are childless in comparison to 13% from our mother's generation. Okay? So that's quite a big jump. Now, there is less research into men not having children than women. However, this is interesting, according to Dr. Robin Hadley, as stated in The Guardian, 25% of men over 42 do not have children. This is actually 5% more than women of the same age group.
Really?
So more men of around 42 don't have children than women. That's actually really
I thought it would be
interesting.
more women.
And they say that half of these men who are not fathers but wanted to be fathers described a huge grief and isolation from society, and also a quarter of them felt deep anger. That's actually an interesting stat.
I thought it would be the other way around, but I think as society's evolved, I think certain statistics sort of taken a bit of a change.
Yeah. Because the thing is, there is more, I don't know if the correlation, there's a slightly more men in the world than I think,
Really?
I read 102 men to 100 women, apparently. That's actually, anyway.
Because back in the day, my aunt always used to say to me, Davina, men have choices. Like, there's like 5 women to every man. Like,
Maybe it's changed. Is it maybe more men are changing into women or something? I don't know. But that,
I don't know. Actually, that did cross my mind because I was thinking, could it be a change that people are gender, fluid and
So
maybe that's what it, yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Yeah.
But girl, listen. We are both over 35 years old.
We're not stating that age here, but we're
over 35 years old.
Yeah.
We both don't have any children. I want to reach out to you and ask you, why?
I actually can't say there is one particular thing. There's various factors in my life. So when I was in my 20s, I had this whole thing of I'm going to move to America. So I have to admit, because I was actually thinking about this the other day, because I thought I was going to go to America, find my American boy,
I'm liking this American boy.
like the song goes. I just thought, like, a lot of guys who I was like, maybe went on a date with them, I thought, oh yeah, just a date or whatever, but I'm going to America to find my Prince Charming. And then the second thing is I don't want to say blame it on my mum, but my situation with caring for my mum, I felt, even though I did have relationships, don't get me wrong, but she was my first priority. And I just couldn't get around in my head, like, having to raise a child, especially maybe if you end up having to raise a child alone and having to look after my mum as well. Like, already it was quite, I don't want to liken it to raising a child, but the energy and the effort had to go into that, to do that and also raise a child. I just couldn't see myself doing it. I didn't even think like I had sometimes the strength to be a carer, let alone to be a mother at the time. But obviously now my mum's passed, so it's something I'm considering now. And then...
So did you want... Did you... So
I did, yeah. Go on, Go on.
Obviously, you know, you was travelling and do your thing, but do you think you really wanted a child?
100%.
You do?
So with my culture, so I thought life was going to go like this, where I think a lot of women do think. You think you're going to meet your guy, early 20s, by the time you're 30, well, with my generation, and by the time you're like, say, 26, 27, you'll marry the guy, then you'll have your kids all before you're 30. Obviously, it's not worked out like that, as we can see. But obviously, life gets in the way, certain things happen. And then also the way society has changed, your thinking changes as well. And obviously, it hasn't worked out like that. So, but I've always definitely wanted it from a cultural aspect. My parents are from West Africa. I always thought in terms of legacy, like my parents both now gone, they've got me and my brother, and that's just, you know, it's strong within the African community if you leave children behind. So I've always wanted it, but I'm coming to the thing now that it might not happen and I have to accept it.
So you think, okay. So it was a choice then. So it was a choice to not have...
You know what? I don't think it's a choice because I've just always wanted it within the confines of a relationship or marriage. So as you know, I've been on dates. I've been close to talked about marriage. I haven't been proposed to, but
you was in a long-term relationship.
Yeah, and we did talk about it. And it just obviously those relationships didn't happen or didn't work, should I say. And it just never happened. So,
but if you really wanted a child, like seeing that long-term relationship, if it was just about the child, this is, by the way, what we are talking about here is about where you can conceive. We're not going into the territory of where you've tried to conceive and can't. That's a whole different subject matter, okay? Just to make it very clear. So this is where, you know, assuming you can, and so you was in a long-term relationship and you still, if it was that important about having the child, would you not just have had the child?
No, because the situation I was in at the time of caring for mum, that's my last long-term relationship, I wouldn't have wanted to bring a child into that because I don't feel I could have given my all. So even though I want a child, and a lot of people might say this, I'm also thinking of the child and the effect on them being brought into a particular environment. And I just thought, I'm thinking of the child's needs and wants over my own, even though in my heart, I love kids. I've worked with kids and my desire is to have that, but I'd rather not have rather than bring a child into a situation and it affects them when they're an adult. That's my thinking.
And I hear that, and that's probably a lot of women's thinking. I mean, because, but I still feel that's a choice, and that's also projection.
Maybe it is a choice. Yeah, maybe it's a choice. Yeah,
because I'm the same way. When I remember when I was 16, I was like, oh yeah, my life's gonna get sorted. I used to do this. I used to dance. I used to do acting. I used to do modeling. I was like, by 21, I'm being sorted, and then I'm gonna meet somebody. I'm gonna settle down. I came 21. I was like, nowhere near ready. Then I kept pushing it back. Obviously, ultimately, need to find someone to have a child with, and so forth. But that option was also there.
Can I ask you a question? Something just, do you think had we not been interested in the arts, we would have had kids quicker? Because I always thought I'm going to be famous. Not that I want to be famous now, but I was going to do this, like a child would just...
No, because I feel like there's actually deeper rooted issues of why we really haven't actually had the child. So no, I think maybe that's our deeper rooted issues why we've gone into the arts. For expression and because there were things in our childhood that we, you know, I'm probably going into different territories here, but it's all linked. No, but I in one way,
I think I would have had it if I was just doing like used to, you know, regular 9 to 5, whatever. I think personally myself, I would have had, but because a lot of the times, like in my 20s, I put that aside because I just thought, no, I have to enjoy that time, get famous and be established before, that was in my 20s though, I'm talking about in my 20s. And like I went to drama school. I didn't want a child to get in the way with that because drama school's full on. And this is before my mum came sick.
Maybe there's a little bit of truth to it, but I think there's deep, like if you want to go really deep, it goes past that. It goes back to stability, right? Yeah. So for me, so yes, one of my things was financial stability. It really really not only impacted my decision making with a child, but with who I was going to, you know, partner up with. I had some great guys, and maybe they weren't they would love me, they would, you know, and treat me really well, but actually they weren't like in this financial position that I felt like I was, you know, really wanting. I grew up with a lot of love and had a really good childhood in that sense, but we struggled a lot. It was homeless at some point. Like, we did not have any money, and that traumatized me subconsciously. That really did. So when it came to children, one thing, like I said, I've had, like, my mum just did an amazing job. I cannot fault her. And, you know, but that, like, impacted not having money was just, I remember thinking to myself, I don't want my children to go through what I went through, because of how important I felt that was. And so that is what stopped me. But all this time I've been saying, I want kids. I went through really actually quite a spiral, like a bit of I wouldn't say depression thing, really soul searching, because come 30, most women do this. I come 30, like, I'm more relaxed now about not having children, but I do want children. I'll come back to that than I was when I was 30. We hit this 30 and we're like, right, TikTok. It's like, and then most women will tell you a story they had in their 30s. They went with somebody who had, and then it just, either you end up having the child or it didn't work out. And either way, if it didn't work out, you know, there was probably a reason and a learning within that and so forth. But I remember after that, it got me, I went down after this relationship didn't work out. We had the same values. He was looking for children. And because he was in a financial, you know, position, I was like, oh, actually, this made me think.
Makes you excited.
I still didn't put myself in a position yet. To be fair, it didn't actually last that long. So that's probably why. But I still was like a bit, like I was still a bit like held back a bit. So when I finally was like, it's, you know, mid-30s now, late 30s, I'm like, nah, I keep saying I want a child. I keep, and the type of person I want a child with still, I'm blocking myself. I really had to sit down hard and say, if I really wanted to have a child, if it was really about the child, I would have had it. Providing we can have children. Again, I'm going to because this is, you know, I don't want to, because there's some women that try and they can't. We're not talking about that. But it's, and this is why I still think, but do you, like, if you had to choose, truthfully, between the loving relationship and the marriage and a child.
I can't choose.
And that's you can't choose.
No, I've always, again, maybe this is living in a fairy tale, and also what I've seen around me growing up in an African household, I always thought it's about the family. You've got the mum and the dad. I know that doesn't always work out and some people get divorced, don't get me wrong, but I always saw myself getting married, or at least being with someone, then having the child. So what I was going to ask you, I was going to say, when you say really trying for it, do you mean like going to the sperm bank or just randomly having...
because there's women out there, and I don't agree with this.
I can't do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't agree with this, but there's some women out there, like, I've had some people that I've worked with in the past and stuff like that, they just want a child. They literally have found somebody that is willing to have a child. They've whether it's gone to the sperm bank, because that's all they wanted. They wanted to have a child. And so they did it. With knowing whether it's, you know, the not having intentionally not going with a two-parent household that's a whole different thing. But they really wanted that child, and they had the child. They're happy. There's no resentment to the dad not being there or anything like that. So it makes me think then.
No,
I know you can't
I'm thinking
choose.
of the child again. Like, everyone could.
It's the relationship that you are seeking more than the child.
No. So what I said by that, like, if you go to a sperm bank, you're not going to know anything.
Love the show? Show some love back.
Like, follow, and subscribe. We are on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. You know the drill.
All under at The Davina
And Sabrina Show.
I'd rather have a one-night stand, not that word, and at least I know well, actually, one-night stand you wouldn't, but if I had like a casual thing with someone and at least I know their name, then I don't want it to be like the child comes to me and says, oh, who was your father? I don't know. He was number 15, whatever. But that's my opinion. I'm not saying anyone who goes to the sperm bank, you know, some people, they decide to go it alone, but I personally don't think I could do it alone due to various reasons. So,
Yeah.
so maybe, and also I'm trying to come to terms with now that it might not happen. I might just have the relationship, but that doesn't mean that I've chosen the man over the child. I just want the whole package. I want that child to grow up in a two-person household. That's what I want to give my child if they're coming into this world. If I can't give that, I don't want it.
Okay.
That's what it is.
That's
my,
fair.
yeah.
I just, because we do grow up with this notion of this 2.4 children type thing, and that can stop us. Because if that's what you really want, but I do think that, like, because it's not, because we're talking about, it's not like we've intentionally put ourselves in a position to, you know, so we don't even know whether we can have children or not or whatever, but I know that I wouldn't want to go through life not actually at least trying. Like I do want, but for me, when I really had to, because I kept saying, oh, this child. I felt like I was projecting. I feel there's a lot of women do project a lot. I know this is quite a sensitive subject, but I think the more honest you can be with yourself about the free you can be, because it was holding me back for years. And when I realized that, I didn't like the idea of me saying, oh no, I don't want a child, because I actually do. I really do.
I can't.
But it does come with some conditions, like you just said.
And then also, sorry, one more thing, because also my health, like we said in a previous episode, I have lupus. It's not active, but there's a potential, like if having a child is something which can trigger it. So I've obviously been the child of a sick parent. Again, that's another thing I don't want to have to put on a child, especially if I'm doing it alone. Like, can you imagine I'm doing it alone and I'm sick and I've got this child? What kind of life is that for the child? So that is also another, that's why I said there's various reasons as to why I would not want to do it alone. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
But you do want a child, ideally.
I do want a child, but I know I'm coming towards the end of the line.
Are you really coming to terms with the fact that you may not have a child?
I'm not 100% there. It's sad. I'm not going to lie. It's sad. It is sad. Like, even the other day I was looking at adoption, but then obviously adoption, still I'd want to do that with someone. I wouldn't want to do that solo. Or maybe fostering I could do by myself, because that's just a temporary thing. But might not happen.
Do you feel like, then do you think that's something you will regret, knowing that, like, for example, you're in your 60s, you look back, you're not in a relationship, for example, do you think you'll look back and say, do you know what, maybe I should have just had a child, like, because, you know, I'm not in this relationship now, and we are going to be in a relationship 60.
That's But so what I've been saying to myself recently, Davina, life is about being happy. Whatever shape or form. Sometimes it's having kids. Some people don't have kids, they're happy. I just need to make my life happy in some way, whether that's with a partner, traveling, going to do like work in Africa. There's all these ideas of things I want to do where I can give to society. If that doesn't happen, I'll help to raise my nieces and nephews when my brother has kids. That's the only way that I can, you know, see myself as being happy. And like, I'm not going to just sit there and just be miserable or get a cat. Like, I don't like pets. But maybe I will regret a little bit, but I've just, as long as I make my life happy and I have a companion, which there's no, you know, I could marry someone at 50 or 60 or whatever. So,
and ultimately, when you find that companion, I'm still going back to it.
You still think
it's the relationship that is more slightly more important. I think there's that part that's a bit hard to accept, but that's my opinion.
I want a family. I've always wanted my own team. Like, I'm living alone now. My mum's passed. I want my own little clique. I know it sounds corny. I want to be like Christmas time in all onesies and stuff like that. I know that sounds a bit naive.
No, but it's this fairy tale we have, and that's what's keeping us from not...
I just don't want to be... maybe it is. Yeah, actually, a little bit. Yeah. But,
this idea.
But then right now, there's no one.
Yeah, and I'm not saying, by the way, to intentionally have a child.
I don't want to go out there and start.
I just think
it's different if it turns out that way. But to intentionally go out, I'm going to be whatever. I don't know anyone like that. Most of the people I know, it's just not worked out. But the ultimate aim originally was to be with that person.
I think
but
most people have
that's
that.
Yeah, that's how it is. Yeah, even my parents, they divorced. You know, my mom was a single parent, but she was married at first. So yeah.
Well, I don't know. I know that as much as I keep saying, because I think ultimately my true thing, if a woman really wants to have a child, you know, provided she can, you know, you will end up doing it. And I think that there's a lot of conversations happening around, I don't have a child, and you feel so sad about it. And yes, it is sad. But the reality is that when you are actually reflecting and soul searching, you will realize it was still your choice. So if you can keep that, it was still your choice, providing that you haven't tried. I personally have not intentionally tried to get myself pregnant because actually I spent all my life thinking, until I'm ready, I don't want to have a child and stuff. So, but I will feel sad. Like, I can't go with somebody that doesn't want children, because one thing I would probably regret is not trying to have a child. But I'm getting on. So I'm wondering, am I being delusional at 42 to think that, like there's still that possibility? I think there is still that. So maybe I'm being delusional. But so I would want, but I realize I am searching for that relationship. And if I can have that child with it, then that's brilliant. And I guess the hardest thing is to say, if I can't, then
when that day comes,
then I think I will have to just accept that, because it is still a choice that we did. It is still a choice, in my opinion.
I think like some people are in situations where it's not conducive to bring up a child. So maybe you can say that's a choice, but sometimes it's not possible. Like
what?
I don't know, like financially, like you're living in a hostel or whatever.
It's not a choice, though. You've chosen that you don't want to struggle. Because we've been traumatized by in our 80s and 70s.
Yeah, but like say for instance, like, I don't know, someone's in a situation where they're coming from a domestic situation and financially they've just lost it all. People have different stories, so...
You're choosing to leave, which is fine. So you should leave. Yeah, I'm not saying that. You then
But to bring a child into that...
No, I'm not saying that. Yeah. Then you find somebody else to have a child, if that was so important. The reason, what I'm trying to do is take away this narrative of, I know that's so bad, like, I don't have no children. And because there's a lot of, I feel so bad. I've started to really, okay, did you really want a child though? And it's like, yeah. The first answer always, yeah. When you go deeper, it's like, there's a soul thing there. Look, we all want children. I would do as much as I seem quite ruthless with it, I do want a child. But I have had to just be honest about why I haven't, why I want it, and what is more important. And that, once you can have that conversation with yourself, it's then you take away a bit of a burden, Yeah. What's your cutoff point?
You know
to stop thing to be like, you know what, I'm going to have to just accept it now.
As I was growing up, I had a cut-off so many times and then it always got higher and higher. So I don't want to give a cut-off now. But I would say... If like I don't want to be 50 in the front of the playground picking up and for them to say, is that your gran? So no.
You won't look like a granny.
Yeah, well, I probably won't, but I just don't want to be. Is that and also it takes a lot of energy to be running around. Like I've obviously babysat and whatnot, but it can't be past 50. I think even 50 I think is too. It depends how I'm feeling. If there's loads of aches and pains and...
Which there is already, but...
so...
Some people probably look at this and think, she's delusional. Yeah, But there is more and more people that are having, children later, which is good. And I think there is a bit of a myth, but, we haven't had a child yet, so we don't know.
And also, you want to be around for your child. Like, if you're... The later you have it, like,
you could be around for a good few years, like 20, 30 years. I know that sounds, ideally you want... forever, but we have to die at some point.
Yeah, but I don't want to like leave when I'm,
But that wouldn't stop me, I'll be honest.
Because like my dad, I was 16 and my brother was 8. Like you don't want to, that's the only thing. And if you're doing it singular, who else is there? The child will go into care.
Yeah,
because I don't know anyone in my family, if like I had an issue, I was ill, would take on my children.
Really?
No one. Because all of them, a lot of them, they've all got their own situation. My auntie's all old now. Yeah. They're just like struggling. So that's another thing I also think about. Like, who's going to be my backup if I was to do it alone?
Yeah, but you could have had it at 20, it still died at 30. Like, do you know what I mean?
No. But when I was younger, like my aunt used to look after they had more energy and whatnot. But now that pool of support it's
getting less and less.
It will literally be doing it by yourself in my situation, not anyone else's. I think if my mum hadn't got sick, I definitely would have had a kid by now. You put it that way, because she was excited about retiring and having whatever. I probably would have had, and alone. Maybe I would have.
I don't think so.
Maybe. Okay.
Maybe you do that.
But then she would have babysat, Anyway,
cool.
Yeah.
All right, listen. Point is, be honest with yourself.
Yes.
About why you know, and soul search, and because it is a sensitive, taboo subject, and you really, you know, and it's not too late. In my opinion, it's never too late. Just look after your health and get advice and listen and stop listening to naysayers about come have a child after 40 because people are. So pickle treat time.
Who is it today? Is it me? I think it's me, isn't it?
It is.
Okay.
We're gonna do treats. We can treat me.
You want to give it a bit of a
Shake it.
shake it.
Shake it.
Okay, right. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, so these are my two choices, Diamond. So cut off your own arm with a pocket knife, or receive a naked selfie from a family member. Well, that's quite easy.
Yeah.
I would receive a naked selfie from a family member. I'll just do one of my girl cousins. Yeah.
No.
I've seen them.
If it had to be a male, would it be? No.
You know what? I've got someone in mind, but I don't want to say it on the thing. Can you whisper it to me?
No, say it.
Obviously, I've lived with this person, and sometimes, like, my brother.
Fair enough.
Yeah, my brother, because,
So
I don't intentionally.
Just so we're clear.
Yeah, sorry.
Let's double down on this, just so we're understanding. You'd rather receive a naked selfie from your brother, my friend, rather than
Cut off my arm.
pocket knife.
I don't want to lose.
Others
I think I would.
stuff and things, rather than cut off your own arm.
But, oh God, this is so whatever. But if you've seen it before, it's.
Yeah, but you saw it when he was a child.
Yeah.
Like, how old is he now?
He's 37.
Exactly. So you're just seeing branch.
No,
You're just seeing branch rather than cut off your own arm.
I don't want to reveal.
I'm stirring the pot.
No. I 100% would see the selfie. Because
I
sometimes,
agree. I
like, when
probably
you're
would
at
as well.
home,
That's
like, I didn't intentionally, like, I've seen it as an adult, but not like I was, whatever, you might.
But he's intentionally saying, hey, dude.
What do you think?
But I'll see it and I'll delete it, yeah.
No, but he's
But no arm.
He's going out of his way to send it to you. 079 on WhatsApp, right? With a picture. Starkers branch out.
At least I'll have my arm. No, I'm standing down, and I'll delete it. I'll just, I'll delete it. Yeah, I'll be traumatized
a little bit.
But I'll be.
But a pocket
Okay,
knife.
when you double down, you have to save it as your wallpaper. You have to
Say
save it as your wallpaper as well. So the naked selfie, you have to save it as your wallpaper.
Yeah. That's
for how long?
Forever.
Yeah, but
When you get married and all sorts, has to be there by the bed.
who
thinks of these questions?
Wake up, checking the time. It's 6 o'clock, and you see branch.
I'll just use an Apple Watch or something. I'll just
It's gonna
avoid
be on
this.
there as well.
Oh no, but you can't.
I'm gonna use doubling down.
It's gonna be on your phone.
Oh, no, you guys can't change
We'll
it,
double
like-
down.
Yes,
That's
you
where
can.
we can. We
I'm just gonna
can.
make sure you're okay with your decision.
Basically. Do you know what?
No, I'll have it on there and then I'll put tape over it. Like, oh my God, no, I can't lose my arm.
It's fine if that's the case.
All right, I'll keep it. Yeah, I'll have to keep it.
you have to.
I'll just try not to look at the. Yeah.
Just don't never look at the time.
Yeah, I've got to watch.
I'm
You
gonna tell you,
know.
by the way.
He's gonna watch this anyway.
I'm messaging him right now. Be like, yo.
Oh jeez.
Oh God, let's not show him this episode.
Yeah, no, he's gonna see it anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so don't forget to like and subscribe. We are on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, all under the Davina and Sabrina Show. Please share the love. See you next time. Woo.
Bye, guys.
Shout it out and let